Final Fantasy X is one of the most impactful JRPGs for me. I love this game, except it also destroyed my mental health because of the stupid chocobo racing. This is so... Hey everyone, how's it going? Total Level here with another video for you talking about 5 JRPGs that impacted me the most in my life personally. So these are ones where they either helped me get into JRPGs or they may have helped me through some difficult parts of my life. These are JRPGs that influenced me, impacted me so much through my whole life, and yeah, I thought this would be fun to do, a fun little personal video of how much these games mean to me. These 5 games are among my favorite games too, and everything like that, so yeah, I really want to do this. This is a very personal list and very fun to do, so yeah, I hope you all enjoy. Let me know in the comments too what JRPGs impacted you the most, or if you do a response video to this, let me know. I would love to watch your video on this as well. And with all that out of the way, let's look at my 5 JRPG impactful games. So first up, I gotta talk about Pokemon Red and Blue here, as yeah, this was a big impact for me, just like with a lot of people, because you got both the game and then of course the original anime also, along with the card game, right? So there was so much Pokemon, but yeah, Red and Blue kind of started it all for me. As the big impacts for me is, one, this was kind of the first RPG I really got into, the first RPG I ever beat, right? So that's definitely a big impact, but the bigger impact for me was making a lot of friends along the way, because me, with my mental health issues and everything, I have a lot of anxiety, and as a kid I was super shy. I never really had a whole lot of friends growing up or anything, and I didn't really talk to anyone. I didn't really know how to make friends. Usually friends that I made along the way were because of other people, right? But Pokemon was that first kind of series that really let me break out my shell and kind of strike up conversations about Pokemon, right? Whether it was people coming up to me because as a kid I wore this Team Rocket shirt, right? And a lot of the times, so people would come up to me, or I would come up to them if I saw anything Pokemon related with them, right? The first gift I ever gave to a girl, which would have been either grade 3 or grade 4, was a Pikachu ring, which I remember she didn't like the ring, but she loved the Pikachu, so she kept it. But yeah, it just shows how big like a franchise, how great video games can be at just making those friendships. And while Pokemon doesn't really have the same impact for me with games these days or anything like that, these older ones have a lot of nostalgia for me, and yeah, they just really help me kind of break out that shell and just make a lot of friends along the way, and yeah, that's just fantastic. Next up, we have Final Fantasy VII. So you want to talk about one of the biggest impacts for me. This was it, as this is the game that got me hooked on RPGs for life. Not just JRPGs, but Western RPGs too, as yeah, what a phenomenal game. And yes, it's rough to look at these days, as I remember when I first played this game, 2 thoughts. At first I thought you were playing as like elves or something, because the opening scene where it shows Aerith and just the way her ribbon was, I thought those were her ears at first. I wasn't really paying attention, and then when the camera moves, it's like, oh, okay, that's just a ribbon. Right? And then also when you first start the game, it's like, okay, you're a bunch of kids or whatever, and then you get into battle, it's like, okay, they're not kids. And of course the dialogue, it's like, okay, better not be kids with saying stuff like that, but yeah, it was just funny when I first played, but despite its rough look these days and everything like that, there's a reason why this game holds its legacy, right? Like, just phenomenal characters with such high story depth and everything. My friends, all of us would watch each other play this game, which is probably something you wouldn't really do too much these days. It all depends on the person, but we don't have as much patience these days, right? But I just remember all of us watching, seeing what each other would do differently, along with all of our characters were named after each other, right? So that was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm really loving what they're doing with the remake also. Rebirth was amazing. I can't wait for part 3 to finish this whole thing. It's going to be very emotional, but yeah, what a great game, and yeah, just the legacy this game holds. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII, just still one of the greatest games of all time. And then we have Final Fantasy X, so yeah, this is a big impact for me, as, this is my favorite Final Fantasy, but this is also the first Final Fantasy I ever beat, because for Final Fantasy VII at the time, I got fairly far in it, but as a kid, I wasn't very good at the active time battle system or anything like that, right? So I couldn't beat it until quite a bit later on in life, right? But with Final Fantasy X, because it's a very traditional turn-based RPG where you can see each other's turns or whose turn is next and everything, I loved everything about this game, from the characters, the music, the story, and yeah, big impact for me though is not just the fact that this was the first Final Fantasy I beat, but I remember when I beat it and just having my family, or I should say kind of my brother and mother and all that, just watching me play and beat this game, right? And yeah, that was just a really special moment for me of just, because for me, I've been a pretty competitive kid, right? So anytime we get a game that all of us are playing at the same time, I like to try and beat it first, right? And I was severely underleveled when I beat this game, but yeah, I love that we were all watching me beat this like it was a movie or something. It was just really cool, and I love the balance of this game because every character has their own role. Like, yes, Kamari might not be the greatest, but, even as a blue mage, because his kind of sphere grid is able to connect with all the other ones, even more so if you use the expert sphere grid in kind of the remaster or the international edition that we never got here on PS2 in North America. But yeah, it was just really well balanced, I found, of every character had their own role to play, so you were constantly switching in and out characters, which I thought was really cool. And yeah, I just love Final Fantasy X so much, so yeah, this game definitely has a big impact on my life. Next, we have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. So this is an interesting one to put on the list as impact games, because this is one of those where it's not, I played it as an adult, right? So it doesn't have like the big kind of attachment or nostalgia attachment as these older games do, but it's on this list because this is the game that made me go down a rabbit hole that I never want to come out of, because after Cold Steel, it was funny when I beat this game, because this game kind of ends on a cliffhanger, right? And I didn't know there were other games in this series. And I remember just being so mad, and I didn't have access to the second game at the time. So, yeah, I'm just like, what do I do? And I'm like Googling to see, okay, are there other games in this series? And then I find out, oh, there's a bunch of games in this series. Oh, it was even called Legend of Heroes at first, or this Trail series, right? It was originally called Dragon Slayer, and yeah, going down that rabbit hole of like, okay, Dragon Slayer, and it's like, Dragon Slayer 4 is Legacy of the Wizard over here on NES, and going all over the place, and then discovering the Sky trilogy on Steam, because it's like, well, I guess I'll play these games as I'm patiently waiting to get access to Cold Steel 2, and yeah, it was just, I never gone down this rabbit hole like I ever have, because number one on my list for Impact games, yes, I went down the rabbit hole again, but I feel like I went down even, I'm not sure which one's deeper actually, because yeah, you'll see for number one after, but yeah, just going down the Falcom game list of everything and loving, you know, pretty much every one of their games. There's a couple that I'm like, okay, this isn't quite for me, but man, they just make so many games that appeal to me and a lot of you out there too, because this is how I got into the E series eventually as well, and just, you know, and the underrated Tokyo Xanadu and all that. So yeah, just talk about your rabbit holes. And so I feel like this game is appropriate because this was my start in the whole Falcom list of games, not just the Legend of Heroes or the Trail series or anything like that, just everything Falcom. So talk about your impacts. Yes, this has to be on my list. And easily number one of my most impactful games is Persona 4 Golden, which is also my favorite game of all time. So yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack with this, as kind of talked about Trails of Cold Steel, how I went down the rabbit hole of that. Of course, Persona 4 Golden, I went down the rabbit hole of that because, you know, finding out it's a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei and everything like that. So, of course, yeah, there's that impact, but there's a lot more to this than that, because I mean, I love this game because it has an intriguing storyline of trying to catch this serial killer in the town of Inaba. I love the music in it. The characters, the cast of characters are one of the most likable in any video game. There's some that, yeah, piss you off and you want to smack them a few, right? But for the most part, you know, just such a great, likable cast of characters, and despite its dark storyline and everything, the game has a ton of humor in it, so many laugh out loud moments, right? So love it all for that. But the biggest impact for me and why this is number one for me of not just impact games but my favorite game ever is how much this game helped my mental health. Because, you know, growing up, I had many childhood experiences, we'll just say, right? And, you know, I dealt with severe levels of depression and anxiety. Not so much depression these days, but yeah, for sure anxiety. But at the time, you know, a lot depression and, you know, going to the hospital in 2015. And this game helped me through the hardest times through my life, right? Because this was a game that was so relatable to me. Like, no other game, I think, has been even remotely close to being relatable, because a lot of this game deals with mental health and dealing with kind of your inner shadow, right? Your inner demons, and kind of accepting that that's just a part of who you are. You're still you, but what you're holding inside is also a part of you, right? And so many relatable characters, because while I didn't quite experience some of the same stuff like with Kanji and his, sexuality, right? Like, I never had to deal with that, but with kanji, I've always wanted to be accepted for who I am as well, and for other characters, so just, constantly feeling trapped in life that you can't break free, right? And, also just stuff of, feeling like there is no real you. You don't know who you are exactly, or you're trying to be someone that you're not to appeal to others, right? And this game helped me just discover myself a lot and helped me through the darkest parts where now, I am happy with who I am as a person. I'm happy with the person I am, the personality I am, right? And yeah, that was, had to go through a lot of therapy, a lot of like cognitive behavioral therapy to accept all that. But yeah, this game was pure therapy for me, not just how much I enjoyed this, enjoyed the characters, enjoyed the story, enjoyed the music, but just how much it helped me grow as a person and how much it helped my mental health growing up. So yeah, there's no question why this game impacted my life more than any other game out there, not just JRPGs, right? This game impacted my entire life for the better. And so those are my 5 JRPGs that impacted me the most. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed this more personal look of how much these games meant to me, especially Persona 4 Golden. So let me know in the comments down below what you think, and let me know what JRPGs impacted you the most, or just games in general. I would love to hear all that, and if you do a video response to this, let me know. I would love to watch your video on this as well. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, or if you just want to see any of my skits and then nothing else and leave the video, that's fine too. Thanks everyone, take care.